I don't know if you have noticed, but there's been a recent rule change regarding the 1.3 Merc rule. Not many people know why the wording of this rule was slightly changed. It just so happens that I was the center of this change, so I am here to show you why it happened and why admins are biological trash. Back in week 2 of season 23 Highlander, I played an official against Kaiser Esports. Before the official started, Kaiser Esports got a default merc. All went well until the said merc died and could not play. Since the match deadline was about to pass, the enemy started AV9 and paused the game. One of my teammates has let the enemy know that we will not have taken the default win anyways. Then another player has joined the game and the game was resumed. The match was played and my team lost. Looking at the logs, I have noticed something strange. This new player was not only not rostered on the enemy team, but was main on a Div 2 team, a Div 2 merc, in a low official. Throughout the match, there was no communication from the enemy team asking for approval for this Div 2 merc. Thus, I have brought the issue to the admins that same day, and the match was quickly turned into a default win for my team. All went well. Then everything changed when the Retard admins attacked. A month later, I noticed something strange. The default win that sat justly on the match page was turned over into a loss for my team. This was done without any admin communication to anyone on my team or through the match comms. Thus, I raised the issue myself to the admins. Furthermore, I engaged in a painful conversation with the head retard. The head retard has several flawed arguments. First, the head retard says we did not respond to the merc request by the enemy. I show him there was in fact no merc request by the enemy. He says they did actually request the said merc. Asking for proof. He says they said they are switching merc in the chat. This is wrong, but even if it were right, you will not be requesting a merc, as you have to show the ETF12 or the Steam or anything that's connecting the merc to ETF12 to the enemy. In what I can only believe was a small stroke, he shows me this chat log as proof. Someone had copy-pasted what the player Switch said along with his name. The head retard thought this was somehow a merc request. He did not even bother to look through the chat logs in full to see that there was a player named Switch. I pointed out this baffling mistake. Head retard responds with the best argument he can provide. Okay, but still. Yes, he said okay, but still. Head retard just admitted he was wrong and I was right. The second argument is that we saw another player join the game and ask no questions. This makes no sense. I do not need to question every enemy player that joins. There is no rule for that. There is however a rule that says you need permission for a merc if he is not default merc. Head retard goes on a 70 IQ ramble about silent approval, despite this not being anywhere in the rules. He argues that because we didn't deny this random person joining, we in fact gave permission for this merc to play, despite never saying anything of the sort. He could somehow read our minds. I point out how head retard is wrong. Head retard then agrees that I am correct, but only for the duration of the round. After the round, because I did not ask questions, he says I in fact approve the merc. The only way we will have known the merc was the merc will be to open their Steam profile, copy their Steam ID, paste it in ETF12 and check if they are rostered on the enemy team. Obviously, one should not be expected to do this. There is no rule about this, and indeed a rule against it that says the enemy must request permission from you. Only a retard or a liar would think this was the case. After I point out how head retard is wrong, he says there is a grey zone in the rules. Again, Head Retard's argument is that permission does not need to be asked for by the enemy or answered by us, simply because we did not do the enemy's job for them and check if all enemy players were rostered, and then answer our own question about allowing them. We gave silent approval. This is of course crazy. If you are playing a game and the enemy replaces a player without telling you anything, is it your responsibility to check if the player is rostered on the enemy team? Obviously not. The fair assumption here would be either be that the player is rostered already on the team or that he is a default merc, because in those situations you do not need to ask for permission by the enemy. Head Retard's final argument is that he says he is right, so he is right. What a genius. This is where the discussion ends. In another short discussion, Head Retard tells me he will fix this supposed loophole in the rules. Sadly, I did not record this discussion. This is the recent rule change. So why is Head Retard this retarded? Well, the most obvious reason is that him and other admins are simply not high IQ enough to understand the issue. This is very likely. Another reason that I've been told is that the enemy leader, who is a mentally unstable individual that has played low for 20 years, was prepared to get a lawyer involved. Lol. Yes, a lawyer. A real lawyer. He was thinking of suing ETF12 for this decision of giving my team a default win. Instead of dealing with his autism, Head Retard probably chose to revert the decision after the decision no longer mattered, since playoffs already started, so the match result did not matter, as seeds were already decided. Thus, he makes up a supposed gray area in the rules since permission is not defined. I wonder why they don't define every word in the rules, so all gray areas are closed and every single retard can know what words mean. This was only one incident where admins are shown to be either extremely incompetent or just lying.